don't give me the boring ones. Don't give me the easy ones, right? Of trade the Cubs top 2 prospects for whomever. Give me your crazy, it'll be unpopular with the fan base trade ideas because I have mine. So let's hear it.
All right, you want me to go?
Yeah, go, Ron.
Yeah.
All right, so crazy idea, and this will inflame many, and I don't care. I think they should. I think the Cardinals. It's been a little bit of a reverse problem from last year. Like the pitching staff has actually held its own this year, and it's been the offense. It's been really inconsistent. It's been really the two of their more important guys haven't done much. 3 if you count Gorman. So Goldie's had an off year. Arenado's I think he's turned it around a little bit, but still probably disappointing results. And then Nolan Gorman has been, I mean, Jesus, like talk about up and down, a streaky player. I haven't seen a better example than Nolan Gorman. That's beside the point. I think they have enough offense there that they can get by. And you got to think that a player like Goldschmidt and Arenado are going to figure it out or be able to figure it out before this year is over. So I'm not going to suggest anything crazy like trading either of those two right now. If the Cardinals were 10, 15 games under 500, guys, I'd be all about it. I'd be like, okay, now's the time. You've done this 2 years in a row where you've absolutely sucked. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. You got to start offloading big names. But I'm not there. What I am there on is finding another starter, which I do believe they'll try to do. But I'm going to throw one out there that I think will piss everybody off, and I think they should pluck Trevor Bauer from the Mexican League and just put him in the rotation. And everybody's going to hate that, and everybody's going to get on their, clutch their pearls and stand up on their soapbox and pretend that they're morally better than me for suggesting that. They're morally better than Trevor Bauer because girls are watching them. And if I holler against Trevor Bauer, then all the women out there will go, oh, he's a nice guy because he's hollering about Trevor Bauer. I don't believe any of you. We went over it on here, right? The guy has never been charged with anything. So think of him what you want. I think he can still pitch in the major leagues. I don't even think there's a doubt about it. So if you want a 5th starter, take him from Mexico, put him in the rotation. And if nothing else, because I'm not that high on baseball right now, I just want to unmute everybody on Twitter if that were to happen, and just to hear them, just to watch it, just to watch people just melt and freak out. And, why not? It's an election year, the worst election year we've ever had in 2024. Half the country hates the other half. Why not just put Trevor Bauer back in Major League Baseball and just let's throw some kerosene on this fire, right? How about that? There's my idea.
I'm clipping a picture of Ron right now. I'm going to drop it into that meme of the little girl sitting in front of the house on fire, and it's going to be captioned with, the Cardinals should sign Trevor Bauer.
Yes, 100%.
Go for it, man.
Beautiful. No, I like it.
I'll even take a nice still for you if you want. I can
honestly,
go like
this. Perfect. Thank you. I got it. Honestly, I can't think of many.
Does it need to be the other hand? Hold on.
No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Okay.
There's not a baseball team in the majors right now that would not be improved by adding Trevor Bauer to their rotation.
Even if they added him to the bullpen, even if they've got a good starting rotation, adding him to the bullpen, he would be super helpful. Guess who needs bullpen help? Pete.
Everybody.
Yeah. Guess who's got one of the worst bullpens in baseball?
Hey, by the numbers, they've improved in the last couple of weeks, other than, closing games.
They have like the second if these games were only 7 innings, the Cubs would be 15 games above 500, but they're not because the bullpen fucking implodes with spectacular fashion every other game. Like, it is maddening. Like, I have watched less baseball this May/June than I probably have in the last 10 years, because it's just like I see the score and I'm like, okay, we're going into 7th. All right, I'm gonna look back in about an hour and it's gonna be the opposite,
and they'll have blown it.
Yeah. I mean,
all right, Elliot. So fix it.
It's maddening.
Fix it. Let's hear your.
You don't even need to get rid of anybody. Just go get Trevor Bauer and put him in the bullpen.
So let's hear it. Let's hear your crazy baseball move. It doesn't have to be a trade, obviously, but let's hear your crazy, outrageous move for the Cubs.
I honestly, I really don't have one. I just go get bullpen help. I don't give a shit who it is. It's gonna be better than what we currently have. I mean, I know there's been a lot of injuries, and I know our top 3 bullpen arms are gonna be back pretty soon. It's just fucking maddening right now watching them work. I mean, I don't think you have to give away any of your top 100 prospects for bullpen arms, because bullpen arms aren't they don't demand that kind of trade unless you're getting somebody shut down. But they're probably on a team that's not going to be selling. So I just sorry to kind of be not fun on this one, but
Well, I'll make it fun. I'll make it a little bit fun, I think, for Cardinals fans. So as you guys know, and I just thought of this while we were sitting here. I wasn't going to go. The reason I didn't go to this name before is because he's injured right now, and I don't know if the timetable is really known when he's going to be back. But you got to think that there's a team out there that is it time for the Angels to part with Mike Trout? Is it time?
yeah.
Right? You can't. If you gave that guy truth serum, he's going to be like, get me the hell out of here. He has to be that way. I know Ron Washington's a good guy, but I mean, he's got to want to try something else. And you got to think there's a team out there right now. Maybe they're floating around 500. Yeah, they might make a playoff, but they might just miss it. But they're not quite ready yet, so they don't need Mike Trout right now. They might not need him right now, but can you buy low on him right now, as low as you possibly can for a guy named Mike Trout? Is it a time where you can buy him at a reasonable price? Yeah, you're going to have to part with something, but you won't have to part with what you would if he was in that. If he was in the lineup every day right now, producing like we know he can. Yeah. Is this a good time for it right now? So yeah, I'm looking at the Cardinals and their never-ending carousel of outfield. They haven't been able to figure out since 2017. It's been 7 years now. If I can't figure out something in my job in 7 years, I'm probably fired 3 years into it, and I'm not getting to that 7th year. So, hey, is it something like all right, you know what? They've survived without a lot. They're what they thought was going to be their outfield this year, primarily. They haven't had them. And so what's it hurt, right? Can you make a deal for a guy like that? Yeah, he might be back next year. And there, you got your center fielder. There's no questions anymore who's playing out there, or left field. But, I know he's going to be a year older and he's had some injuries, so maybe he's a right fielder now. But, like, in that solves one of your never-ending outfield problems. And I don't know what you really have to give up right now for him. I'm not saying nothing. It's going to be significant, but it's not going to be like what you would have to give up for, Juan Soto last year, or, what the Yankees had to give up in the offseason. It's got price certainly has to be a little bit under that, I believe. But anyway, crazy thought.
I got to tell you, I know we talked about this earlier in the year. I can't think of a team, just based on their history and everything, a team that would be a better fit than Mike Trout. I just think he would land in St. Louis and he would immediately fall in love. And obviously the city would fall in love with him, and it would be a match made in heaven. And it makes me sick to think about the possibility.
I just kind of my mouth a little bit.
No, but I agree. But I think it's the track record of doing that, right, guys? I mean, when you get you trade a West Coast guy, Mark McGwire, who probably had no intentions whatsoever to plant his stake down anywhere in the Midwest, but they're able to do it once they got him there. Same thing with Jim Edmonds. I know he's you guys' favorite, but it was the same story there. A guy that probably had grew up on the West Coast, played for a West Coast team, and all of a sudden gets traded to the middle of the country, where maybe it's boring, maybe it's not, and those guys choose to make a home there. Or at least in McGuire's case, the rest of his Major League Baseball career, that was his home. Jim Edmonds has stayed there, ever since, right? So, yeah, they do have a track record, Pete, and that's why. And I think they have the need. I don't know what the price would be, but it wouldn't be what it would have been 2 years ago or a year ago. So maybe now's the time. But is that a Johnny Moe thing? No. But maybe that's why you bring Walt Jocketty back in, pull off some bullshit like that. Maybe you can do it.
Well, hey, Johnny Moe got Arenado and Goldschmidt. It hasn't worked out exactly how you had hoped, but
right.
He not only brought them in, but he actually managed to fleece both teams in doing so. So you would imagine that maybe he'd be able to get Trout and Joe Adell in a package deal for, I don't know, pick your Cardinal, but Nolan Gorman and Dylan Carlson. Right, I think that you guys would make that deal.
We got to look for the next Kent Bottenfield in the Cardinals system. That's who they got for Edmonds. Pretty insane. Adam Kennedy too, right? We got to find the next Adam Kennedy and Kent Bottenfield if we want to go grab Trout.
Well, for my crazy idea, I actually, Ron, you give me the opportunity to preface it a little bit. And Elliot, I don't know if you saw Arizona Phil's post yesterday, specifically about trades and trading prospects and everything, but he traced the Cubs' current state. He went all the way back to 2016, which was, I think, maybe our first emergency podcast that we ever did on the show, when the Cubs traded for Jose Quintana. And he went all the way back to 2016 and talked about the fallout of that. And he laid out that it was pretty interesting. He said, I don't know that necessarily that Theo Epstein knew that he was only going to do 10 years with the Cubs and then he was going to be out. But that deal ultimately laid the groundwork for him leaving because he offered up the Cubs' number one position prospect and their number one pitching prospect in order to get Jose Quintana. Now, he didn't know how things were going to turn out, but that was the turning point for the Cubs organization because it committed to the core that the Cubs had, rather than looking to extend their window, right? And to build what he had described when he first started with the Cubs as sustained success. It actually ended that because he committed to the core and had to double down on the guys who already existed because they no longer had their top pitching and top hitting prospects. And obviously, Eloy Jimenez has not set the baseball world on fire, and Dylan Cease has been up and down. But I don't know that since 2016, up until the last couple of years, I don't know that the Cubs have brought up a hitter or a pitcher who compares to either of those two. So obviously, that's a mess. And that's to preface this by saying that obviously the Cubs need to make a move, and they're clearly not set up to sell. But I think it would be a mistake, as some people are now arguing, for the Cubs to go down that exact same route and to rent a player and give away a couple of their top prospects. That if they're going to trade these prospects, who a lot of people, including the Cubs organization, clearly are high on, then you better get something significant back that you're going to have for a while and not have a player who you're only going to have for a couple of years, and lose that value. So my crazy trade idea that I know is going to drive most Cubs fans nuts is to trade the career 113 plus OPS player who by the numbers is apparently 13% better than the average player, even though he carries a lifetime batting average of 248. But let's strike while the iron is hot, while he is hitting well and while he has his 2 gold gloves. And we're going to send Mr. Connect, brought to you by Sloan and Parse Rum. And we're going to partner him with a player who I like, but is not helping the Cubs in the way that he's utilized, and who you also can strike while the iron's hot because he also has a gold glove. It's time to call an end to the Nico Hoerner era. You partner Happ and Hoerner, and you get something back in order to fix, to find that big bat that the Cubs don't have, because the Cubs have a lot of very good players, but they don't have a superstar, and they need a superstar in the middle of that lineup to drive in some runs. Ian Happ ain't that guy. He's never gonna be that guy. You can't count on him. He's hot and cold. He is the definition of a streaky player, and he's not going to show up for a month out of the year. At some point, even in his best season, he has not shown up for a month. So ship him out, get somebody else. You have plenty of outfielders in the minor league system. Let's give them some run. Let's figure out what we've got there. The results can't be any worse than what you currently have now. And in order to get a little something extra back, send Nico Hoerner. I love him. I think he would have been a great player 20 years ago when there was a need for a contact guy with speed and who had a glove at the top of your lineup. But the Cubs clearly aren't going to put him at the top of their lineup. There's no interest in that. And we're going to get into this in a second. Baseball lineups no longer make sense to me. But Nico Hoerner doesn't have a proper place in the Cubs lineup. I don't even know if he has a proper place in the modern major league lineup, but put them together and either get a stud ace or a stud hitter back. You don't have to hit the reset button, but you do need to retool this lineup, and what they have right now isn't doing it. So come at me, Cubs fans, but it's time for Ian and Nico to say goodbye. The compound can take its show on the road. 2/3 of, or if you go back to the original composition, half of the Compound Podcast is already not in Chicago. Let's just make it 100% no longer a Cubs podcast, and close the book on that era, because we've gotten nothing out of it.
Whoa. I think Nico could be a nice little player on a team that already has some of those components there, right? Like, he's not the guy you want to count on to be a core in the middle, like somewhere like a 3-4-5, traditional 3-4-5 guy. Like, he's not going to be that, but a nice little player to plug in. That's a role player, and every team needs them. They're not going to be all stars, but they're going to be solid players that are going to help the machine run, to help the wheels continue to turn. You need those guys. I think Nico would be great. Just you find the right fit for him. I don't know who that target team would be. But I see a lot of upside. Not upside there. I see a good fit, but probably a lot more organizations than I probably would have. There's Ian Happ. I would love to not see Ian Happ bat in the ninth inning every time St. Louis plays them. He kills them for some reason. And if he played the Cardinals 162 games a year, Pete, you wouldn't even be saying this.
If he played the Cardinals 162 games a year in Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, you're right. I wouldn't.
Well, and then they would have been talking about him at the Rickwood game next to Willie Mays instead of Shohei.
That's right.